So, yeah, this week talking about concealed carry and training. Because I noticed when I was on the spreadsheet a couple of days ago that this is Concealed Carry Month on the radio show.
Yes, it is.
So I thought, well, should probably do something on concealed carry. So here we go. So training. A lot of jurisdictions require training in order to get a concealed carry permit. Some places don't. Here in California, we do. It's an 8-hour training thing, and it's interesting because there's good arguments, I think, on both sides of that. There's people that argue against having some kind of mandatory training, and there's good arguments for that. And there's some people that argue the benefits or the pro side of having a mandatory training requirement. And I'm kind of torn with the both of those, I think. And now, being an instructor with this and seeing it every week or two, it's like I'm getting more of a perspective on this because the 8-hour training requirement in California is, I think, on the plus side, it's good because one of the things that they cover are the legal ramifications, where you can carry, where you can't carry, when you can use deadly force, when you can't use deadly force, because a lot of that stuff you would think is common sense, but it's not really. You would be surprised at some of the different things that you hear. I'm sure a lot of people in class are surprised about when they can or when they can't do this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got to remember, too, a lot of people, get a lot of their knowledge on this kind of stuff from TV, from movies and stuff, and most of it's wrong. So I think from that perspective, I think requiring or mandating training is good. The other thing, too, there's, at least here in California anyway, there's a simple shooting qualification you have to do. And, for most people, if you shoot regularly, by regularly, I mean at least once a month at the range, I mean, the shooting requirement should be pretty simple for most people. But now, teaching these classes, and we, in our typical class, there'll be 17 or 18 people. Of the 17 or 18, probably 5 or 6 or 7 or so will be renewals, where they're just coming in to renew their certificate. And then the rest of them, the other 10 or whatever, would be initial permit holders or permit seekers, I guess. And it's interesting because you see a variety of shooting skills there. And like I'm saying, for most people, if you shoot once a month, the qualification's pretty easy. You should be able to do it. But there are some people that struggle with it. So I think the shooting qualification is probably useful to have people demonstrate safe gun handling, because surprisingly, you see some people, and there's usually 1 or 2 in each class, that are a little bit scary with that kind of stuff, because it's obvious they don't do it a lot. Things like keeping your finger off of the trigger, for instance, that's not a natural kind of movement, because your hand wants to grab things. The way the gun is made, obviously, is your finger wants to go to that trigger, and it's keeping your finger straight and off the trigger is learned behavior. So there's stuff like that, muzzling people and things like that. So, the mandatory training is good from that perspective. The downside, or the argument against mandatory training, is, one thing is it costs money. It's going to be a couple $100 probably to do an 8-hour course at most places. And that's, for a lot of people, that's not a big deal. But then there are a lot of people where that is a big deal. People where, $200 or so is a chunk of money. And you put that on top of what it costs them for ammunition, what it's going to cost them to get the gun and the belt and the holster and all the other stuff that goes with it. You could price certain people out of their basic right to being able to defend themselves. So, there's arguments for and against that. The other thing, too, is realistically, in an 8-hour training, it's really not enough. I mean, it's better than nothing. But realistically, you have to commit to learning things, and you have to commit to learning a lot of stuff. And one of the things I tell students is, the gun part is the easy part. That's probably the quickest, easiest thing to learn. The other stuff that you need to know is, essentially, and it's almost as important, I guess, as being good with the gun or proficient with the gun, is how to avoid ever having to use the gun in the first place.
Yeah.
So learning about how predators behave, how predators act, how to avoid becoming a victim, that sort of stuff. The being aware, I don't want to say situational awareness, but being aware when you're out in public, how not to look like a victim. Learning that kind of stuff is a lot more, and you're not going to get that in an 8-hour class. I mean, we kind of cover that stuff, but you really need to seek that stuff out. There's other things, even, aside from just going to the range. Something else that you'll get, because I always encourage people, okay, it's nice to go to the range. You should go at least once a month. That's probably a minimum. But you should also take classes from qualified instructors, at least a handful of times each year, and then take the stuff you learn in the class and practice that at the range. Because it's doing you no good if you've got bad habits and things and you're just reinforcing them at the range by yourself, repeating your bad habits. And one of the things you'll get in a class is how to deal with malfunctions. And that's an important skill to have. If your gun does not work the way it's supposed to work, how do you clear that? And there was a great video on active self-protection. John Correa had it on a couple of days ago, and it was a police officer responding to they had a domestic violence thing, and there was a guy that was stalking his girlfriend, and he was outside of the apartment and he was waving a gun around and threatening people. So the police pull up. And the guy's on the stairway going up to the second floor of the apartments. And they contact him, and he's not going to cooperate. And they're trying to talk him down. And he starts moving up the stairs, so the police follow him up the stairs. They get to the second floor landing, and the guy pulls out a gun. So the police officer shoots at him, fires several shots, and then his gun malfunctions. And you see this police officer, he starts yelling, double feed, double feed, double feed. And he turns around, and he starts running, because you can see the body camera, so you're seeing all this. And he's running down the stairs saying, double feed, double feed, double feed, runs down the stairs around the corner, still saying, double feed, double feed. And then he starts trying to pick at it. And, a couple of things are off. I mean, I could see the initial reaction, letting his partner know that, hey, I've got something wrong. You need to step up and be primary. So I thought that part was okay. And I'll give him, a little bit of a pass because he's just involved in a gunfight. So, okay, he's going to be all jacked up on adrenaline and stuff. But, okay, once you start getting down the stairs, it was obvious that he didn't know how to clear it. And I think that might be a training issue because, different agencies are different. But a lot of them just have, a couple of times a year, basically, the officers have to go and they have to requalify. And I'm guessing that clearing malfunctions is not part of their qualification. It's probably just a shooting thing. Well, and, even when we take classes, if you go to Front Sight, if you do the charity shoot, part of the testing at the end of the class is being able to clear that exact kind of malfunction. And they give you 3 or 4 seconds or something to do it. Yep. But it's a training thing. So that kind of stuff, I mean, if you're a private citizen, as a concealed carry, you should know how to do that stuff. And
if the cop doesn't know how to do it, you darn sure better.
Well, and again, and it illustrates, first, if you're involved in something like that, you're going to be all adrenalated just like he was. And, you need to have training where that kind of stuff is natural.
Wow. Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel. Or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.